Call the City Council meeting of Atwater City Council, May 13th, 2019 to order. Roll call, please. Or reporter at a closed session. We are going to extend closed session until after the meeting and then report out of closed session at the end of closed session then. Roll call, please.
Ambrose?
Here.
Kale?
Here.
Raymond?
Here.
Vieira?
Here.
Creighton?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Kale and prayer by Chaplain Meade, the prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Shall we pray? Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather at this hall to do the business of the city of Atwater. We thank you for this large crowd of citizens of Atwater being here, Father, whether for ceremony or for contributing or for speaking at the mic. Father, we thank you for them. We thank you for those that work hard for this city, that sit on these chairs, Father, this council, Father, the city manager, the city attorney. We just thank you for all of their work, Father. We know that they are hard workers. We just want this city to be better, Father. We do ask that all that is said here today will be done in decency and in order, that everyone will be able to disagree agreeably if there's any disagreement, and that the words that are spoken by all will be respected and understood. Father, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Any subsequent need items?
There are none.
Seeing none. Approval of agenda is posted or amended.
Motion to approve the agenda is posted. Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Ambrose. Call for the question.
Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion
approved.
passes.
Ceremonial matters. We'll start off with BK Welding. Brad Kessler, that's you. Come on up here. Yeah. Council, why don't you guys join me down here on the floor? Brad, thank you. So, can you guys hear me in this? Okay. So, for those of you who don't know who the big guy to my left is, he's not my bodyguard. He's Brad Kessler with BK Welding. And Brad does quite a bit in the community. Uncle Buck's Barbecue, and you guys probably all know him from that. Many fundraisers and community events he's done, FFA, 4-H, how many other hundreds of groups? Yeah, quite a bit. So pretty much everybody in this community in Atwater has ran across Brad in some way, shape, or form. And also, what you see over here, the positive progress on the wall, Brad took the initiative. That's our motto on the city council, is positive progress. We're trying to move forward in the city of Atwater. It's not always going to be rosy, but you know what? If we don't pay attention to the negative and we focus on the positive, good things are going to keep coming. It's going to get better. We know we need to work, but positive is what we need. And he took the initiative, and he cut that out of his welding shop and made that and mounted it for us, and he donated that to the city. So not just for doing that, but for what Brad does in our community as a community leader. It's important that we all contribute back into our community, and this is part of what we want to do as a council, is thank somebody that's given back to their community. So on behalf of the entire Atwater City Council, here's a certificate of appreciation to Brad Kessler.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Now we're going to make him say a few words.
Say a few words. Well, as a lot of you know, some of you don't, I've actually grew up here in Atwater like a lot of people here have, and our heart still is on this city, and it's been through some challenges the past few years, quite a few years. once the new council came in, and I've seen a lot of improvements, and I personally have experienced some, and I've just seen a lot of progression that needed to happen in this town, and it's not always going to be easy, as we all know. There's always things that need to get fixed, and it takes a long time to switch things and turn things around, and thus far I'm very happy with what I see, and I just wanted to help show that. So anyway, so thank you.
So we're going to stay out here on the floor. Our next one's going to be firefighter, reserve firefighter, and firefighter dispatcher of the year. Chief, you want to come on up here? And we also have a certificate for the fire department. Jennifer Carter. Is she here? Yep. Awesome. Chief, I'll let you take over on this one here. So come on, both of you guys, come on over here.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. Everybody move a little bit closer. So Jennifer Carter is the fire dispatcher of the year, but we're not, you just hand her the certificate, and congratulations, by the way. Chief, you're going to come over on the hot seat and you're going to talk. So, or I think we have the battalion commander, right? What are you?
No, I'm just the office guy.
The office guy?
Yeah.
The big shot. I will let the big shot. The chief. Okay, Chief, here you go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank you, Mayor and council members, for taking the time tonight to recognize our dispatcher of the year as well as our firefighters of the year for the Atwater Fire Department. I'd like to start off, first of all, with Adam Stewart. Adam started with the fire department. He's from Merced County. In 2005, some of the things that Adam does is he's very instrumental in our units as well as state level EMS cadre. So he's one of the real smart guys. He's a paramedic, and he helps teach some of us other guys when it takes a few times to learn some of this stuff. So Adam's got some tools there. Also, he's very involved in our health and wellness program for all of our employees, and he does an outstanding job there. He's married with 2 kids, and also, he's now Captain Seward. He was Engineer Seward a few months ago, so he just promoted to Captain, and he's now currently working out of our Mariposa headquarters. So I just wanted to congratulate Adam and thank him for his time, as well as the time he did here in Atwater. He helped organize a lot of things that we had, as well as really improve our EMS delivery system. So thank you, Captain Seward.
Hold on, don't leave. Yeah, I've been watching this kid here. He's a pretty good hotshot fireman, actually. He knows what he's doing, and he's taught me a few things. We did have a ceremony in Merced at the American Legion, the firefighter of the year, and so we had a ceremony there. He got a certificate there, so we're not short him a certificate, but we did overlook somebody else that's extremely important in this business also. So congratulations to you, and Atwater Fire Department. We're on the front line, cutting edge stuff, and we actually have the chief here is from Atwater, running things for us, and he kind of calls the shots over there at CAL FIRE, so we're actually double lucky, triple lucky. So why don't you describe what's going on here with the dispatcher of the year?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, it's an honor to serve the citizens of Atwater, and specifically here tonight we're recognizing Jen Carter. Jen Carter works up in our Emergency Command Center, which is located in Mariposa. So all of your 911 calls when you ask for the fire department gets routed up to our command center, and Jen is one of the outstanding tools that we have in the toolbox up there for mitigating emergencies. Jen started in 2002. She's married with 4 children, and her husband's in the audience here, is also a battalion chief with us, Baraka Carter, that runs the Livingston Delhi Battalion. Something that's real key with Jen is the nice, calm, soothing voice. Whether if you're calling in 911 and you have a tragedy, an incident that's happening at home, she's able to calm that person down, get the information we need, as well as to all of us when we call on the radio and start thinking that we need to get some more resources coming and stuff, is Jen's also that voice to where she'll be able to handle whatever we throw at her. And sometimes we do some side phone calls to make sure we're doing things right, but Jen, really, it's an honor on behalf of the department, as well as Chief Van Lobensel's, who can't be here tonight, on both our firefighters of the year and you, Jen, for what you just do. I mean, she's very instrumental in our computer-aided dispatching system, which with technology we're always trying to stay out in front of, as well as she also manages our program to send resources throughout the entire state due to any incidents that may need some help. So, Jen, on behalf of all of us with the department, thank you very much for your services.
You have to say something. Just say thank you or something. Tell your husband.
All right. So just thank my husband and my girls for putting up with my long shift work, and for Chief and everyone else in the field that supports us in the command center.
Great job. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay. Thank you. We have one more certificate tonight. Oh, good grief. Buhack. What? Is it? Okay, I'm jumping too far ahead. So, Chief, come on over here. So, Dispatcher of the Year.
Well, this is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. It is something that is 56 years in the making. President Kennedy basically took the second week of May and made it a Remembrance Week for all the past and future and current law enforcement officers. So we have our two honorees, Police Officer of the Year and Dispatch of the Year. Police Officer of the Year is Mike Freiberg, so come on up, Mike. Our Dispatcher of the Year is Kathy Mathis. We honored these two employees in April, dinner at the Elks Lodge and a lunch at the Elks Lodge, but they don't have all the hardware yet, so the council gave them one at those events, but it's kind of personal to me as the chief to recognize them from my office also. So we have two of those, one for each of them, and I have Diana Westmoreland from Senator Caballero's office.
Good evening. My name is Diana Westmoreland. I am with Senator Caballero's office in Merced, and I'm happy to be here. We did attend the award ceremony, but evidently all three of our offices, legislative offices, misspelled Mike's name. So, yes, he was very pleasant. So I have the distinct honor of presenting a certificate from the Congressman Costa's office, from Senator Caballero's office, and from Adam Gray's office with your correct spelling.
So now they all know his name.
Yes, we will never, ever forget your name, sir. Thank you both for all that you do. It is a pleasure to represent the senator, and she works very hard on your behalf. So, and I just wanted to say to the general public, thank you for being here. Let us know if we can help you. I am located at 1640 N Street in Merced, Suite 210, up above. And I have to say, Brad, I'm going to say this since I've known you since you were a child, but that positive progress is very important for not only the city of Atwater, but our district and our valley. So, thank you very much.
And it's time for the picture.
Do you get all the council in there?
They act like they don't like me.
All right, congratulations, guys. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Oh, did I? That's yours. Yeah, you got all your stuff. So, next one is going to be the presentations. Where's Lori at? There she is. Okay, presentations. UHAT Colony High School debate team. Are you here tonight? Okay. Brian Raymond's going to take over. He wanted to do this one personally, so Brian, take it away.
Oh, no, Mr. Freitas, if you want to go ahead and bring the kids up here and tell us a little bit about your program.
I'm not going to do much speaking.
Young lady, what's your name?
I'm Bella Lalonde, and
Okay.
I'm the captain.
Do you guys need another microphone, or what do you guys want done for you? So make it easier.
I will just cycle through.
You just gonna rotate? Okay, great. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us speak here tonight. This is a huge accomplishment for UHAT Colony High School and for our debate team as well. I'm Bella Lalonde, and I'm the captain of the speech and debate team. I've attended the state tournament 3 times, and this is going to be my 2nd time qualifying for the national tournament. And here I have Jared Hoffert, who has also qualified for the state tournament 2 times, and this is his 2nd time qualifying for the national tournament. And here I have Nasir Muldrow, and this is his 2nd time qualifying for the national tournament. And we have Jaden Duenas, who is having his 1st time qualifying on the state tournament, and it's also his 1st year on the debate team. And I just wanted to briefly explain exactly what speech and debate is and what it entails. And what we do is every month we go and we compete at a league tournament. And for us, that's the YFL. So we'll compete somewhere in the Central Valley, whether it be Enox or Modesto. And we compete in our events, whether it be speaking or debating. And then beyond that, we're also members of CHASA, which is the California High School Speech Association. And we're also members of the NSDA, which is the National Speech and Debate Association. So we compete at all 3 of these levels. And in order to compete at higher levels, you have to qualify for these higher levels. And now I have everyone else who'd like to speak.
Hello. If there's anything I'd like to say, is that personally I feel speech and debate, or public speaking in general, is an underrated idea when brought into society. The idea of being able to express your thoughts, your ideas, how you feel towards a specific topic, and be able to get what you want to say across and relate to the audience as much as you can is a fundamental aspect of implementing change. Personally, as a first-year member of my school speech and debate program, I've noticed over the span of a couple of months significant increases in confidence, being able to find the right words to relate to the people I'm talking to, get my points across and make them mean something. And with that said, on behalf of everyone that's here regarding on my team, I'd like to encourage the idea of looking into the benefits of what speech and debate or public speaking in general has to offer. Have your voice mean something and be significant. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, it gets me from here?
You're doing great.
Okay. I am Nasir Muldrow, and actually this is my partner right here, Jared Hoffert. And so today I'll be kind of talking about tournaments and the events that there are. So there's simply 3 categories. There's our interpretations, which is kind of acting. You got speeches, which of course you give a speech, and there's debating, which you of course debate. And so what my partner and I do is we debate. And so that is public forum, which is a duo debate. And there's also single debates, which is 1 versus 1. And that's Lincoln Douglas. And under speech category, there is humorous oratory, dramatic oratory, or original oratory. And so each of these give their own little mix on how you can take the situation. And so within a speech, you usually want to have it last for about 7 minutes. And then within debating, you have like certain rounds where, you bring your own case, the opponents bring their case, and you two refute each other, then you guys question each other, and then you, of course, then refute your own case again. And so these tournaments work very different from many things that I've done, because I also play basketball. So tournaments at a basketball usually last about 4 hours, whereas these tournaments are about all day. So we'll leave the school around 5 a.m. and sometimes not get back till about 8 p.m. Wow. So what will happen is we'll go against 3 different teams. So within public forum, my partner and I will first have our round 1 maybe around 8 a.m. And then later throughout the day, we'll have our next round maybe around 11 a.m. and then and then our following round around 2 a.m. And then throughout then, we also give our own speeches if we have a second event. And so these events are very difficult, and I would like to add on to what Jaden also said. They're actually very important because they do allow us to give our own opinion and our own voice on certain topics. Because we're given the freedom to pretty much write about anything we want and then also present it to anyone that we want, it makes it very easy to kind of boost your confidence, boost your own self-esteem, and also help what I'm doing exactly right now. Because I can even say, if I hadn't done speech and debate, I probably wouldn't be here right now talking to you guys right now with, I don't know, not to toot my own horn, but the confidence that I have.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jared Hoffer, so that's my partner Nasir Muldrow again. And I had the honor of being a part of the first speech and debate class of UAC Colony High School. So the program was founded 2 years earlier to my freshman year, but it was started as a club. And so I've been a member of the class ever since freshman year. And I'm not even supposed to be at UAC Colony. I live in Merced, but I go to UAC Colony for the engineering program, and I kind of picked up speech and debate as just an elective. And over time, it grew into a passion, and I kept going to these speech and debate tournaments, and I qualified for state, and I qualified for nationals. And I saw myself grow as a speaker and as a debater. And it's kind of interesting to think about, if I went to El Capitan or Merced High School, wherever I was supposed to go to, I wouldn't be a part of speech and debate. I wouldn't be going to Florida. I wouldn't be going to Dallas. I wouldn't be going all over across the country to debate. And I definitely wouldn't be speaking in front of people like you. I would be really, really scared. So speech and debate itself is a great program, and it's only just starting within our district. UAC Colony is by far the farthest along. We have a class. We've qualified for nationals for many years. We've qualified for state even longer than that. And we've seen programs, spring up all throughout the district. Atwater, El Cap, Golden Valley, they all have programs, but they're just not as far along. And we want to see these programs grow. We want to see these programs develop into classes, and we want to see them qualify, for nationals and stuff like that. So it really is an honor speaking in front of you guys, because not only are we being recognized for what we're doing, but other people are seeing what we're doing, and hopefully other programs will catch on, other schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys hold on right there. Okay, we're going to come down and present you guys with a certificate. We'll join you down there. Let's go down here.
I'm keeping this.
I've had the privilege of being a judge at one of these debates, and it's incredible what you can hear from these, high school students. And they work incredibly hard. Qualifying for state's tough. Qualifying for nationals is even harder. So from the city of Atwater, we just want to present you guys with a certificate of appreciation and recognition that we're proud of you guys, and we wish you the best of luck at your nationals.
So again, great positive progress, City of Atwater. What a great story these guys have. The instructors back there, my hat's off to you, sir. You're doing a wonderful job, and these are our future leaders right here. So thank you, everybody.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, can you hold on one second before you leave? I think one of the council members want to say something to you. Sorry. Go ahead,
That's
Mr.
okay. I want to say that I know it may be very hard for you guys to believe, but I used to teach people how to be public speaker and how to teach a specific class or a number of different classes. Each one of you today sat there in front of this podium and spoke very eloquently, and I loved your whole persona that you guys did. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there wasn't a single
right?
And congratulations on you guys. I look forward to hearing what happens at National, and good luck to you and thank you for making the city of Atwater proud.
And wait, there's one more.
I also wanted to comment, each and every one of you came here tonight looking refreshingly professional And so it's nice not only to see our youth stand up and speak so nicely with confidence, but to see you dressed in a professional manner. So you have made this council and the city very, very proud. Continue, and we wish you the best of luck in the future.
Now back to the regular city business. Thank you, guys. Consent calendar. Wait a minute. Oh, NG Services Solar. Are you guys here tonight?
So we have a shoe here to make a presentation to City Council regarding possible solar and battery storage project at our wastewater treatment plant.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff. Ashu Jain, I work for a company called NG Services. And we have offices, we have 8 offices in California. Corporate headquarters is in Oakland. I'll take a couple of minutes to introduce our company because you might not have heard about us, even though we've been in business for over 45 years. We were part of Chevron till a few years ago, and then Chevron decided to get out of the energy efficiency and solar business. And we are now part of this company called NG. And NG is the largest utility in Europe, the largest electricity producer in the world. Financially very stable company. As far as our division, NG Services, we've been in business for over 45 years in the U.S., and we're one of the largest companies doing solar and energy efficiency projects in the state. We have over 180 people in the state and a lot of engineering capability. We've also completed more than 250 megawatts of solar in California. And we basically 99% of our work is in the public sector. I'm going to very briefly run through, as you can see, we are, we've done a number of projects in the valley. One of the most recent one was Merced County. We completed 2 solar projects, one at that administration. I think I might have a slide on it, but as you can see, we have done a tremendous amount of work in the valley for cities, counties, special districts.
You said you just did the Merced County admin building on M Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I think I have a slide on that. These are some of our city projects. This is the Merced County project. That's a picture of the solar project we did in front of the administration building. We also did a ground mount system at the jail. So, and we actually did a lot of air conditioning, renovation, and lighting and all that. But today, I'm specifically here to talk about energy storage and solar projects for your wastewater treatment plant. We have a ton of experience with wastewater treatment plants. We've done those projects for City of Lemoore, City of Danuba. We did a project for the wastewater treatment plant also. And another recent one was Selma Kingsburg Fowler County Sanitation District. That was a 2.4 megawatt ground mount system, 1 megawatt hour battery storage also. Madera County, we've done several projects, a ground mount at their jail, a large ground mount at the jail, and a shade structure on, you can't miss it if you're going on the 99 on the county building, on the roof of the county building. Fresno State is a project we did 10 years ago, well, more like 12 now. So we've been doing solar for, almost 16 years now. So we did a preliminary feasibility study of your project, of your wastewater treatment plant. And I know you already have solar at the wastewater treatment plant as well as at, at City Hall and other buildings. So what we are proposing, when you did your when you did the solar back in 2012, you could only install 1 megawatt project maximum connected to 1 meter. That was the cap. PUC opened up that cap around a little over 3 years ago. Now it's unlimited. You can install any amount of solar connected to 1 meter. So that's why you couldn't avoid all the electricity used at the wastewater treatment plant. You still have a bill of over $600,000 at the wastewater treatment plant. So this project is really resulting from the fact that you can now avoid that $600,000 bill. You can't completely zero out the bill because there are charges that solar cannot avoid. There are fixed charges, there are demand charges that solar will not be able to avoid. So we are, between solar and battery storage, we can avoid around, I want to say like 70% of the remaining 600,000. So we are proposing a 1.4 megawatt project for the wastewater treatment plant. We're also proposing at the same location a 1.6 megawatt project with a rate schedule which is called RES-B-CT. And what that does is it allows a public entity to install solar at one location and avoid electricity use at other locations which do not have solar.
So you're going to make power, push it in, and then
Yeah.
not pay for it over another location?
Yes, and you can tell PG&E where do you want the credit. You can only avoid around 40-45% because you still need to pay PG&E for distribution and transmission. They compensate you for generation. It's not as attractive as directly avoiding the electricity use at that meter. But still, when you talk about large ground mounts, it is attractive. That's what we did at the jail for Merced County. The Merced County Jail project is a RES-B-CT project. We also are the largest installer of battery storage in the country. We own the largest commercial battery storage company called NG Storage. So we are also proposing a battery storage system, and what that does, it just basically it charges when the cost of electricity is low, and you use it when the cost of electricity is high. And around 40% of the cost is paid by PG&E as incentives. It's mandated by PUC. The bankruptcy has nothing to do with the incentive money. It's a separate pool of money that creditors can touch. We also have a community impact program, and I'll talk about that. So what we have shown here is around a 3 megawatt system. We haven't shown a distinction, but it's 1.4 megawatt will be connected directly to the wastewater treatment plant. 1.6 megawatt will be connected to another meter that we'll install, and it'll avoid electricity use for the rest of the city. Battery storage system, again, it allows you to shave demand and save money, which solar cannot. Talk a little bit about community impact. Most of the projects that we do include a community impact program, and what that is we do a lot of work for school districts, and we have, it started with that. We have 5 former teachers on staff. And for every school district project we do, we offer internships, and which comes out of a separate pool. So for cities, we've done things like run their parks and rec. And I haven't discussed this with staff yet, so these are just ideas. And run parks and recs, summer program. We do things like offer internships to high school students and have them work at the city. We're doing that at another city. And of course, the regular groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. There are some projects that if you decide, if we are going to work at the city, there might be some other projects that we can look at, like battery storage at the wells. We haven't really analyzed those yet. Electrical EV charging stations, we do a ton of those. So it's kind of difficult to read the financial analysis. Basically, this will be done as, again, a power purchase agreement, and the city has done a couple of those before. And so a total of 3 megawatts. We have, it'll be a 28-year term, and what it basically shows that, in year 1, you can save $170,000, and it just keeps going up after that. Because
That's just at the wastewater plant?
Just at the this is the wastewater plant and the RES-B-CT.
1.6 pushback?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so savings are around 680,000, and cost is 510,000. We own the project, we do everything. You don't have to, anything goes wrong with the system, vandalism, anything, it's ours.
Ashu, can you talk about the savings from the end, moving it forward to?
Right, so we have an escalator here, a 2% escalation. So we've been able to reduce the cost initially by having the cost of electricity that we are charging you go up by 2% per year. So that allows, you're paying less initial years and paying more afterwards. So the savings accrue in the beginning.
So you're trying to say it's just consistent through the term?
There's a consistent
You don't
increase.
have a spike.
Right. There's a 2% escalation in our cost per year. So for instance, your current project at the wastewater treatment plant has a 3% escalation. Ours is only 2%, and our price is actually less than half of what you're paying right now. So it's very attractive.
And when you say that, you mean per kilowatt hour?
Per kilowatt hour.
So the people don't know what we're talking about.
Yes.
That's where the money's at. So what we pay per kilowatt hour, he's proposing half of our current charge right now.
Half of what you're being charged by on the wastewater treatment plant PPA. It's of course considerably less than what you're paying PG&E. So as far as I know, the only company who's willing to guarantee the solar project performance for 28 years. So we are willing to do a 28-year term, which means that we'll guarantee the performance over 28. We guarantee 90% of the generation for 28 years.
So you guarantee 90% of the generation, and you said earlier in your statement that you own it the life. So if anything breaks in that 30 years, you're fixing it the whole time.
Exactly. Anything goes wrong with the system, it's ours.
So it's in their best interest to keep our kilowatt generation high.
Absolutely.
To the very end, the very last day.
And if we generate less than 90%, we compensate you actually at a higher cost, at the cost that you're paying PG&E. So we make up the difference. Let's say PG&E is charging you 12 cents and we are charging you 9 cents. It's actually much less. I'm just giving you some instances. We'll pay you not only the 9 cents that we are, not the 9 cents, but we'll pay you at 12 cents per kilowatt hour because you have to buy that electricity from PG&E now.
Right.
So we're making you whole basically.
So you're saying if his performance falls, we back charge them the 3.5% or 3%?
Correct. That's essentially the presentation. So this project, and this was just a feasibility level numbers. If the council is interested, then we'll do some engineering and come back to the council in a couple of months with final proposal.
Okay. So before I open up the public comment or anything, well, actually, we're not going to do that because it's just presentation.
Right.
The reason he's here tonight presenting this is because our city manager sees an opportunity to do something that we can't do staff here on site. We were doing some improvements here at City Hall and then with the police chief's office, and we put LED lighting in, and we had a discussion, Lori and I at lunch, about, the whole City Hall needs to be, these are fluorescent light bulbs in here, and we started talking about the money and the cost to replace them, and it led one thing to another, and then Lori took the initiative to reach out to several companies, yourself included, and so tonight we have a presentation from them to go big, think outside the box. So they said you have a bigger savings at the wastewater plant than trying to change light bulbs here. So his feasibility was on a big scale to do a big project, save the wastewater treatment plant a lot of money, zero their monthly cost of electricity out, and then push electricity back into the power grid to save us costs for our PG&E right now. So
correct.
That was Lori's initiative on that. So council, you guys have any discussion you want on this? Councilman Kale?
Thank you, Ashut. I appreciate it's very impacting and informative approach. I really like the performance if it fails. I really like that aspect of it. But thank you for coming in here and sharing that with us today.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else on the council? No? City Manager Waterman?
I'll reach out to you and we'll.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Great
Thank
presentation.
you. Thanks for the time.
Very
Thank
informative. Consent calendar?
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Are there any items on the consent calendar that the city council would like to remove for separate discussion or possible action?
We're going to remove 3 because we haven't got to it yet.
No. If we're, City Attorney White, the question was on item number 3.
So if you feel comfortable moving forward on it, we can move forward at this time. Otherwise, we could postpone that until after the conclusion of closed session, at which time we would take that item up again. We would just do it as a motion for an agenda change.
But we could approve it now if we wanted to.
You can, if you don't feel like you...
If there's no objections to it.
Correct. So the issue, just for the public, is...
Item 3, okay, you're okay?
There was an initial, this item was also agendized for closed session. If they wanted to have any conversation about it that would be more relevant for closed session, they could do it before taking up this item. So it's a council
Okay.
prerogative as to whether or not to
We've
wait or not.
previously discussed it in closed session
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
So that-
So seeing no, no. Anybody want to pull anything? No. Any members of the public who would like to speak regarding any items on the consent calendar? If so, please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. We need a motion.
I'll move we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Raymond. Call for the question.
Raymond?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Funding and budget matters, item number 8, acceptance of audit financial statements for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. Senior accountant, please come forward.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Before you are the audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2018. We have Brett Jones here, our senior accountant with our auditing firm, JJA CPA. Those are our city auditors. Please let us know if you have any questions.
Sure. Can you come up? Brent, you said?
Brett Jones.
Brett Jones? Welcome. So, just for discussion's sake, we're talking about the audit, last year's books. We've already been through the state auditor. Paul Navarro and his team had come out to Atwater and gone through our books. We've spent basically a year now corresponding back and forth. So we're summarizing and approving last year's books that were good. So you want to elaborate on that so that it's just not a gloss over? I want to know more details.
Yeah, we did our yearly audit. We come in, we test the internal controls of the city.
So what do you mean by internal controls? Like spending policies, procedures, the way we handle our money, where it goes, what accounts?
Yeah.
You know, there's articles in the paper and some other stuff about money coming into the PD and then being put in general fund instead of other things. So we've solved those problems, is what you're saying.
There was nothing to report, so we test for...
This in 18, but previously there was issues, but 18 there's nothing?
There was, yeah, we issued an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that we can give.
So what's the narrative on your opinion for the audit?
We think the audit went very well. The staff provided everything that we needed to do our testing and come to our conclusion.
So can you put that in layman's terms?
The audit went well.
The audit went well. What kind of things did you look for in your audit? Because most people don't know, when you guys say the audit, it comes through, we approve it, move on, then we find out there's issues. What are you looking for when you guys do the audit?
We look at accounts payable process.
You speaking like a little more?
Accounts payable process, cash receipts, payroll. The only thing that we did have was a continuation of a prior year comment regarding the deficit fund balance in the general fund.
What was that comment?
In prior years, the general fund has been reporting a deficit, liabilities exceeding the assets, so to speak, for the general fund. This year, in prior fiscal year 2017, it was approximately 2.3 million. And then we've discussed this with management, and they've implemented a plan to address that. And that's actually in the footnotes to the financial statements themselves on page Page 92, footnote 15, is management's operations to address the deficit fund
Can you
balance.
speak in the clear, what was
Sorry.
that?
Footnote 15 in the
Yes.
financial statements.
Can you read that?
Page 92. It's pretty lengthy, so I don't,
Go ahead.
do you want me to read?
Yeah.
Read it?
That way everybody knows what we're talking about.
Janelle's going to try to put it up on the board, too.
Great.
And then after you read that footnote, if you can talk about, I know you talked about the 2.3, and if you can talk about where it ended up this year as well.
Sure. Okay.
And speak a little louder too, because it is hard to hear you.
Sure. So, management's plans of operation, general fund. Two major sources of revenue to the city's general fund are property tax and sales tax. Both these areas were significantly impacted by the economic downturn over the past several years. The effects of the housing downturn and financial market decline have reduced the city's general fund revenue base. This situation was further impacted by the state action, which reduced local revenues such as motor vehicle license fees and eliminated redevelopment agencies statewide. Rising labor costs through collective bargaining agreements and accounting changes, such as reporting other post-employment benefits, have further contributed to the structural imbalance. To address this situation, the City Council has taken action to begin to move the general fund toward a balanced budget position. The city has worked with employees to reduce current operating costs through early retirements, layoffs, and salary and benefit reductions. Actions have been taken to increase various fees to generate additional revenue. These actions have significantly reduced the magnitude of the operating shortfall. A balanced general fund budget was adopted for the 2018-19 fiscal year. Sanitation fund. Sanitation service in the city of Atwater is provided through a service contract with an outside vendor. The 10-year agreement was executed in 2003, and rates have not been adjusted at that time. This resulted in a deficit in the sanitation fund. To address this issue, the City Council formed a sanitation fund committee to review options for addressing this issue. The City Council approved a 5-year plan for annual rate increases in fiscal year 2012-13. As of June 30, 2018, the sanitation fund no longer has a deficit fund balance. And then to address the prior year deficit in the general fund, as I mentioned, going back to 2014, it was at its largest deficit of 4.1 million. Then over the past several years, it's been going down slightly, and it currently sits at 1.4 million for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2018.
Thank you. Patty, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I think Waterman wanted something else.
I think part of the, he talked about where we're at now. We started at 2.3, we're at 1.4. Part of the issues, excuse me, where we anticipated on last year's budget is the sale of some
Real property.
as well as the cannabis moving forward. These items didn't go as quickly as we anticipated. They will be, we will see the outcome in this year's fiscal budget, and we'll budget it that year, or this year, and that should eliminate, our goal is to eliminate that this fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you. We'll open up to public comment right now. So any members of the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. So looking for direction from council. Unless you guys want to discuss anything. Council want to discuss?
Motion to approve the report presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Vieira. Call for the question.
So just to clarify, the motion's for acceptance and approval, correct?
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Viera.
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes.
Public hearings, ordinance approving Central California Brothers, Inc. development agreement regarding cannabis business pilot program, property located at 664 Railroad Avenue, Atwater, California. Attorney White?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a development agreement for a Type 10 retailer license for Central Cal Brothers Incorporated. It has a public benefit scale of $15,000 a month for the first year, $25,000 for the second year, $40,000 for the third year, or 5%, 5% of gross revenue, whichever is greater. The building that they would occupy is about 24,000 square feet. Doesn't mean they'll use it all, but that's approximately what we're looking at. This would be also subject to a conditional use permit process, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
So, council? Any questions?
This is standard agreement we've seen.
This is, yeah, correct. This is the same one. This is what we've been going through already. Nothing, I'll open up the public comment. Public comment, this time, come forward.
Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive, also pastor of Victory Baptist in Atwater, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. Just a quick question, trying to figure out where this is, because when I put this in my internet browser, it popped up as the blue house down on Atwater Boulevard. So could you just tell us where this is going to be?
So Railroad Avenue, who has the exact location? So that's between, over by Atwater Packing, correct? Where's the applicant at?
I think the applicant's here so they can maybe more clearly identify the building. I know the address, but I haven't driven by it myself.
Can you pull that up on Google Earth?
Yeah.
Mark, there you go.
Or you-
Yeah, there you are, right there.
There's Mark.
It's the Atwater Fruit Exchange Building?
So next to Atwater Packing.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So, Pastor, where you at? You jumped back over there already. You know where Atwater Packing's at? Okay, so Tony's Auto Repair across the street? Yes, on Railroad Avenue. You guys are good.
You're good.
Okay. Any other members of the public come forward at this time? No, it's by Atwater Packing. It's not.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. Mark, can you please give the description again?
It's right next to Atwater, the old Atwater Packing Facility. It's,
Well,
yes,
yeah.
years ago, yes,
That's-
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to close public comment, seeing no other members. Marianne, you need to get up here. All right, I'm going to keep the public comment section open.
Are these for grows or these dispensaries?
These are grows.
Grows. So how many are
It's a
we at?
dispensary. I'll let White's taking care of this.
Okay.
This is a dispensary.
This is dispensary. So how many are we up to now? Originally, were we going to have 5?
We took away the cap.
We took away the cap. Okay, so now we have,
Whatever the market can bear.
We'll have 2 right now, right?
We only have 2 at the moment. This would be the
Right.
third one.
of grows. We only have 2, no.
Of dispensaries.
And how
So
many
we're putting them
grows?
in all the industrial area too. They're not, it can't go all around town. so
Right, right.
As much as that area can bear, it's pretty much, all that property's been bought up and spoken for already, so.
Do we have a moratorium on liquor stores in Atwater?
No.
No. So we just have an open.
I think we're at our limit, and then you have to make
With liquor
findings to go up
license or
to
physical?
liquor license limit, and then you have to make findings in order to go higher. Yeah.
Any other members of the public?
Thank you for letting me speak. Ralph Anthony Figueroa, 335 Karen Way. So thank you for having me. Quick concern, we're $2.7 million in the red, is that correct?
1.8.
1.8?
1.4. We're still in the red, yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So this cannabis event, where's that money going to go? Are we allocating that to a call center specifically to get out of the red, or is
Yes.
that going to
Yeah,
solar
we-
power? Where are the funds going?
So not to go back and forth, but we've made a resolution that all of our debt gets exhausted first with the cannabis revenue. Then we move that into public safety and whatever's left over after that as we mature through this. Then it would go into the community, recreation, downtown development, things like that. If there's that much revenue generated, there's a lot of hype that it will be a lot of money. We're in this business only because of the money. The city's not doing this because we are interested in cannabis. but we're doing it for a money generating opportunity.
Understood, and the hours are 24 hours open, or is there?
No, it's going to be a regular type business. It won't be 24 hours. The chief of police sets the business hours for dispensaries.
The default,
So-
yeah, we can be less, I mean, we can have it less, but there's a default, I think it's 10, if I remember correctly, it's like 10 o'clock or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you can only open, I'm going off memory now, but I think it's 9.
And what's the expected revenue per year?
Well, according to all the cannabis people, it's going to be millions and millions, but we'll see.
I think you're probably, part of it depends on the market saturation, what we get, but you're probably looking at, I think it's a safe number, it's probably around 2 million.
2 million, so this is why it's a pilot program for 1 year or 2 years?
3 years.
3 years, 36 months, okay. I
Yeah,
have
well,
no
2 years
further-
per year, 2 million per year.
Okay, I've got no questions, thank you
Thank you for your comments.
on that matter.
Any other members of the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. What's the council's pleasure?
I make a motion to waive the first reading and introduce ordinance CS 1008, approving Sincal Brothers, Inc. development agreement.
I'll second.
Motion by Viera, second by Kale. Call for the question.
Kale?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 10, ordinance approving MJI LLC development agreement regarding cannabis business pilot program property located at 460 Air Park, Atwater, California. Attorney White.
Yes, Mayor and Council, what you have before you is a development agreement for a Type 1A indoor cultivation license. These license types are for artificial light cannabis cultivation that goes from 500 square feet to 5,000 square feet. The public benefit amount would be $5,000 per month the first year, $7,500 the next year, and $10,000 the year after. Again, those are per month, or 5% of gross revenue, whichever is higher. With
Okay.
that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Council, you have any questions? Seeing none, open up to public comment. Any members of the public like to come forward at this time? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Bring it back to the dais. Council, what's your pleasure?
Well, I'll make a motion that we waive the first reading for this ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Raymond.
And your motion also includes the introduction of ordinance CS 1010?
Can you read that, Attorney White, please?
So just tell me, so this is a motion to approve the first reading and introduce ordinance number CS 1010 approving MJI LLC development agreement in a form approved by the city attorney for 460 Air Park Road.
Yes.
Okay, call for the question.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mayor and City Manager's Report, item number 11. City Manager Waterman.
So the mayor and I went to Washington DC, was it last week? Week
Last
before
week.
last, for the One Voice trip, and it was very productive. It was packed with a lot of different, I outlined several different things, but I'll just briefly touch on them. But we met with the House and Senate. We met with the housing and homeless, with the federal government. We met with the Department of Justice, COPS and JAG program. They encouraged partnerships between the local agencies, which they also provided us assistance with programs that they have in coming up and items that would assist us in getting grant funding in areas needed. It was a packed day. We had full house, and then day 2 we split off into strike teams. I was on strike team 2, and we met with the U.S. House of Representative and House Committee of Energy and Commerce, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, and Economic Development Administration. We talked about the 5 5G expansion coming to our area with the FCC legislation and the lack of communication with the agencies, and that we weren't against the expansion, but we wanted to have a say in what was coming and the permitting process in the time that they were allowing us. We also discussed regional challenges with our resources and funding priorities. I was encouraged to hear on the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development that it used to be based on population of 20,000 and below, and they've increased that to 50,000, and so that gives us another pool to write applications for USDA funding, and that they have, we can use that for infrastructure. And they encouraged using maybe a direct grant with a direct loan or a low interest loan to leverage the award. Then we can make the award a larger project.
I'll jump in. I'll jump in from there. We attended most of the same meetings. I was in Strike Team 3, went a different path. I focused on veteran services and the trade agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States, focusing on the Central Valley, Atwater specifically, how it would put our people to work in our local agricultural area, and to support what the current administration is trying to do with speeding up that process, changing the NAFTA a little bit around. We would be joining Anaheim, San Diego, Marin County, and several other agencies to partner up with that to try to move that forward and support that to get our local farmers a place at the table so they can hire our residents to work for them and be more innovative and get stuff moving back and forth between the three countries. Then on Veterans Affairs, I met with the White House interagency staff on Veterans Affairs. We have currently about 2 or 3 veterans that are homeless here in Atwater. The goal is to have 0 veteran homeless and 0 homeless period, but I met with Mr. Verschuer and General Healy in the Veterans Administration, and we are committed together, and they're going to be doing programs here in Atwater, specifically in Merced County. We're going to be working with the law enforcement and first responders for veteran services, homeless. So when you see people that are homeless, instead of just ignoring that they're veteran service, we're gonna have an intake program. So identify if they're veteran or not, because we have a lot of programs for veteran services, and we're going to try to get them a different pathway than the regular homeless or people that are living on the street. And that's really important around here. We're a veteran organized community here with the Castle Air Force Base. We have a lot of retired vets here. So there's no reason for anybody that's a veteran to ever be homeless. And also, at the same token, the VA is not ignoring the regular people that are homeless. So we met with HUD. So the Veterans Services, we're partnering with them. So we have a direct communication with Washington, D.C. and the White House for the veterans right here in Atwater and Merced County. Raul, the city council member in Livingston, Mayor Pat Nagy in Gustine, myself, Veronica, city council woman in Los Banos, and that was it on our team. But we've all committed, all of our agencies, along with city manager in Merced, that veterans homelessness in Merced County will be down to 0 before October, and we're going to maintain 0. So when you hear of 0 in homeless counts, there's a net 0 where they say there's always going to be 0 to maybe, depends on your side. We have 280,000 people in our county, so 0 for us could be 20 homeless vets. And we committed to the White House that 0 means 0. So that moved us up to the front of the line. So as long as we keep committed on that, and we have Ricky Powell, one of our veterans reps over here, he's working hand in hand with myself, Councilman Raymond. We're going out, making sure that there's no homeless vets. And then also our cities are all going to start talking to each other now. And with that, General Healy wanted some kind of innovative thought process on how we're dealing with the vets. And I'm never short for words, so I decided to tell the VA, I said, you guys need to rebrand and you need to do something a little bit better. We had some creative discussion going on. And our segment was over, but they wanted to hold us there. So they held us for another 45 minutes because we were having a creative roundtable with Los Banos, Gustine, Atwater, Livingston, and Merced about the veterans issues. So Raul's a city council member and also a deputy sheriff. So we were talking about programs related to VA homelessness, and we also got into other venues where we need to identify and let people know that the VA is an opportunity for you to get help if you need help. And when first responders go out, whether it be a fire department or the police department, you know, we need to put those brands on our first responders and let them know that we have services for them. So say a veteran gets sideways with the law and they're going to be taken to jail or something, the chief of police here in Atwater and also the sheriff are going to be working on coming up with a packet. So if they end up going to jail for something that a veteran did, their services, there's hundreds of millions of dollars of services for veterans. So their intake, what do you call it, Chief? The intake? The booking will identify them as veterans, and that'll be attached to their booking sheet. So they don't just get thrown away and lost in it, because we have services and they've served our country and they need the help and they need the services. So they're going to get it put in the veterans path for the VA, and General Healy is ecstatic about that. So they'll actually be coming out in late June, late July sometime, he said, to check on what we're doing with that. So we're talking about maybe putting some branding on all the first responder vehicles and the branches of service. And then also the officers or the firemen, if they're allowed to with their uniform, wear a lapel pin that shows what branch of service if they're veterans themselves, so that people can identify and get that communications going. So that's a big deal for the VA, because we're pushing rebranding and be VA first. I go to Fresno VA, and the money they're putting into the VA system over there, the equipment, millions and millions of dollars. The VA is just taking that whole 10 blocks down there in Fresno, and they want to increase that. So Merced has a VA service over here, a clinic, and we discussed that the VA wait times for veterans to get medical care, 6 weeks out to see a doctor, maybe 8 weeks just to see just a regular checkup. And that's not what the VA is about. That's not what they want to do. That's not what this administration wants to do. So we're going to take advantage of this administration wanting to spend money. So we're pushing to maybe put a clinic in Atwater or Livingston or Los Banos, expand the services, get the wait times down, get our guys the services they need, and we volunteered, Merced County and Atwater, to be the test ground for that. And we want those monies steered here so we can start helping our boys and girls that did the service. So that's the biggest movement we got on what my tracks I was on. And then also Lori touched housing was a big issue. Our governor's all in on housing, so we have a good relationship right now with our governor. We have our planning department. We were in violation of housing element 3, 4, and 5. We're currently in compliance in 3 and 4. We should be wrapping up housing element 5 here in the next month or two, correct? Maybe November?
Yeah, cycle 4, we're doing an amendment for cycle 4 to bring us into compliance, and then we're heading into cycle 5 with some projects that we have in mind. And
Right.
we're going to be actually joining Merced and Merced County as a project in order to get things going.
Yeah, so we're going to capitalize on what our governor wants to do, and we're having a dialogue with our governor. I got called up to Sacramento because we were in violation of our housing element, and now we're in compliance. Paul McDougal came down from the governor's office. We're working closely with that. So if you have a relationship, regardless of who the administration is, federally or state, Republican or Democrat, we up here are working to get the money out of the Democrats and get the money out of the Republicans for us here in Atwater. So you're going to see some things maybe start moving. We haven't had multifamily housing in this town since I think the 80s, at least the 80s. So my goal is let's push everything out of the way, get this stuff done, and get some units built up out of the ground. So with the feds helping us and the state helping us on that, that's all back linked to homelessness and lack of housing nationwide. So we're going to be capitalizing on that. We also have some creative things, like Mark said, with city property to maybe expedite those units getting built, and also a payback. We have an opportunity zone. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the opportunity zone, but if you're coming in to invest, Councilman Raymond and I met with a couple of developers after I got back from Washington, D.C., to share with them we're in an opportunity zone that's a federal area where if you come in and you invest in our area, build in 10 years, you're tax-free pretty much, short story. So it makes it very desirable for these large developers to come in and make it worth their while to put the infrastructure in, spend $15 million, they can get some of that money back tax-free at the end of that. So good things are coming on that. Met with FEMA, haven't got the details worked out yet, but we're talking about the east and west side of Merced County with FEMA, that we have two rail lines run through our city, and FEMA's usually reactionary, and I was complaining about that. And we actually had the deputy director of FEMA in my meeting. I got lucky, I got all the big shots in all my meetings. I said, we don't need all the first responder stuff in Atwater, but we need first responder stuff for our stretch of 99 and I-5 for Los Banos and Gustine. So how do you guys become creative, and how do we get resources? So if we pull all of our cities together, east and west side, we could start sharing more equipment and get federal dollars that'll pay for some of these giant ladder truck that'll do everything for Foster Farms, and also do the, what do you call it, when you call somebody else, collaboration or whatever, I've lost the word. Chief, what's? Mutual aid, that's what I was looking for. So instead of Merced or Livingston having this big ladder truck, they know that we need one in Merced County, so locate it somewhere in our corridor and then do the same thing over on I-5. And the director thought that was pretty genius, because they have a lot of money for equipment. We just have to identify it, and we don't qualify because we're too small, but 280,000 people, and with our fire chief and police chiefs all getting together, maybe we can start getting some better equipment. We had a tragedy 2 years ago on one of our off-ramps where we had a tanker truck flipped over, caught on fire, and it took us almost 45 minutes to get the foam truck out there, right? 30 minutes? Took a while. It took forever to drive that foam truck out from Castle. What? Yeah, anyway, so we didn't have a lot of resources, and that's just an example of a fuel truck spilling over, a train derailment or whatever else, that we need the resources, and they agree with that. So we have a place at the table, and we're going to be going after those with grant money and programming to do that. So those are the real things we're going to get. I was in a bunch of other meetings with some staffers and some other things that were maybe a waste of time, but we had a place at the table. So all in all, I think we're going to end up with a few $1 million coming back to Atwater. So it was worth our time, worth our effort, and we're going to be able to help our veterans. So
I think it was truly a one voice. I mean, we were all from the different agencies, but we were speaking the same thing. We were all advocating for
Merced
this
County.
region.
Yep.
So it was a good place to be, and we want to thank Congressman Costa, too, for hosting dinner.
he did.
On
So there's an oxymoron. Congressman Costa hosted a wonderful dinner at the Capitol Hill Club, which is exclusive Republicans. So, and it was a wonderful meal, and the congressman was very well respected there, and it was nice to see the two parties getting along. When you see on TV all the time the dysfunctionalism, but it was pretty harmonious there. They were all friends, and it was a great meal too. So that's our report. Council, you have any questions? Curiosities? Okay. Anybody from the public have any questions?
Again, I'm new to the community, so thank you for having me. Ralph Anthony, 335 Karen Way. Last question to close for me would be, what's the status on our water, the contamination? So it's a two-part question. When it was tested for...
Anything for One Voice specifically?
No, I apologize.
We're
I
going
thought
to
you
do
were
public
opening...
comment.
Okay, I thought you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll call you back up at public comment. Anybody for One Voice? Seeing none? Okay, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Joey Xavier, 344 Karen Way, and I was concerned on the street lights. Are you guys responsible for the street lights? Because I have a light that's flickering on and off.
That'll be public comment also. So we're just talking about agenda item number 11 right now, and then we'll go into public comment. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Reports and presentation from staff. State of the Atwater Fire Department presentation.
Honorable Mayor, council members, John Slate, Operations Battalion Chief for Atwater City Fire. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'd like to talk for a few minutes, just a snapshot of the annual report from the 2018, talk a little bit about engine staffing calls, things that went on in 2018 in Atwater City Fire.
When you're talking 18, January to January?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So these numbers are going to reflect pretty much everything in 2018. Some of the numbers I'm going to talk about with like the reserves, those numbers changed in 2019. We lost some reserves with retention issues. So the organizational chart, if you look here, fire chief, that's going to be Mike Van Lobensel's, the interim fire chief we currently have. And the next one down in the chain would be the division chief, Jeremy Ron. He's here tonight in the back, doing a great job supporting me. And then the two battalion chiefs that we have for Atwater City Fire Department, your fire department, is John Slate. I'm Battalion 14. And Battalion 24 is Danny Suarez, the fire marshal. He's also a battalion chief here at the city of Atwater. And then at the two fire stations, you have Station 41 and Station 42. We'll talk a little bit more about those stations in the slides to come. But at those stations, you have a total of 4 captains assigned to both stations, as well as 5 engineers. And then it's a little bit confusing when you look at the reserves because there's 9 reserves total, but in this slide, those 9 reserves can work at either fire station. Generally, they have to do somewhere between minimum of 36 hours each month at a station. So in order to stay active status. They can always do more if time permits, if they have enough time in the day between their busy lives and jobs and whatnot. So that's the organizational chart, how it's organized here at the city of Atwater. Now, Station 41, the fire station located at 699 Broadway. Everybody's probably familiar with that station. This just goes into the calls that Station 41 responded to in 2018. We're looking at a total of 2444, so just under 2,500 calls. Very busy for that fire station. Most of them, 1,786 calls, medical calls. So as you can see, that station with the 2 people staffed to that station ran just under 2,500 calls. They have 2 engines assigned to that station, Engine 41, and then the reserve engine, 241, as well as a Cascade. In case we get a structure fire, they can bring the Cascade, the mobile air unit, out to support the firefighters. They also have 1 utility vehicle assigned there at that station. The other station that we have here at the City Fire Department is Station 42. That's the newest station located at 2006 Avenue 2, right next to the high school. That's also a 2-0 station they refer to, so there's 2 people staffed at that station pretty much all the time. That station has 1 ladder truck, truck 42, as well as at a reserve fire engine 242. They also have 1 utility truck. That station not quite as busy as the Station 41, the other one on Broadway. It ran a total of 1,514 calls. So between the 2 fire stations here at Atwater City, we ran right at 4,000 calls. So that's just emergency responses. That does not count the inspections, weed abatement inspections, all the other things, the training, all the other things that the fire department is responsible for doing. Moving on to the fleet. Cover the fleet a little bit here. Atwater City's fleet, the equipment they own, each battalion chief has a fire truck command vehicle. So myself and Chief Suarez both have 2017 command vehicles. Those are great shape. They've only been around for a couple of years. The National Fire Protection Agency, under guidelines 1901 for frontline and reserve fire apparatus, recommend that this equipment be in service no longer than 15 years on a rotational status. So NFPA recommends older apparatus, once it gets to 20 years, be in a reserve status. That's recommendations from them. Looking at what we currently have with the Reserve Engine 241, that's recommended replacement 2019, so it's right at the end of the lifespan. And then the Reserve Engine 42 is also coming up on that replacement. It's 2010 recommended with the high miles on those.
Those are the two yellow ones?
The 3 fire engines that we have are all yellow. The only red piece of equipment we have is Truck 42.
Okay.
So the new standard, when Atwater City buys emergency vehicles, they are all supposed to be red and black.
Right.
Going back to tradition, because back the old fire equipment that we have was red. Okay, any questions with before I move on with the vehicle equipment updates for the city fire?
Council? Any questions? So, you said 4,000 total calls, 2 stations. Last year was 3,300, right?
Around there, yes.
So we're up about 700. That includes fire, medical, everything, vehicle extraction, whatever else we need. How many
Absolutely.
fires last year did we have?
Fires? Let me
Structure fires.
So Station 41 ran around 36, so looking at about 3 per day. Station 42 responded to about 24, so right at 2 per day between the two. Structure fires, working structure fires.
That's a lot of...
A month.
A day.
Yes. Did I say a
A day, a month. You mean
I
a month.
apologize.
Oh.
So for the whole
3 days.
year, let me rephrase that. My apologies here. Structure fires.
Town's burning down.
36 structure fires in a whole year.
Okay.
If 41 responded to. Station 42 responded to 24 the whole year. So between the two of them. Now granted, a lot of them, they both respond. So those numbers could be a little bit skewed because one's going to go, the other one's going to go. And like you mentioned earlier, we have auto aid and mutual aid. The city will, on request right now, so the other county can come in and help out with staffing levels. But looking back at the reserve program, excuse me, we only had reserves, those 9 reserves that we had in 2018 only responded to about 9%. So 1 out of 10 calls, we had reserves. Because
So, go ahead.
they're so busy, and the availability of them to actually come and do shifts at the fire station, it is hard. And retention is very hard as well, because when they come and work with Atwater City Fire Department, they get education, training, experience. So they're generally not there very long. They promote. They get a job as a career firefighter somewhere, either CAL FIRE or any of the cities or local government. So it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You want them to succeed and become firefighters and get the training experience, but also retention's always a challenge. So right now, we currently have 8 active reserves, 2019, and 3 of them are actually going through a reserve fire academy. We teach them in-house, teach them all the ins and outs, how to do the job.
So basically, from where we're at today versus where we were at 15 years ago, we're at bare bones still, post-recession. Extraordinary numbers, and they're just going up. The trends are up. It's 2019, get ready to be 2020. We still have structure fires constantly, and so life's not going to change. It's pretty consistent over the last 100 years. We're going to be needing resources and people in our fire department, so it's important that everybody understands these statistics and that they're not changing because we buy a different truck or something. Fire's fire, and it's...
Absolutely. Looking at this year compared to last year, it's always going to be a service, essential service, the fire department. We have 2 people at every station. Like cities generally have 3. So where our city has 2 people on duty 24/7, and we augment that with the reserve program. However, when they're not available, it's just two bodies, 2 firefighters at each piece of equipment. Where Merced or Turlock or other ones, they have 3. So it seems like just one more person, but that's everything. When you have a structure fire and you have 2 engines there, so that's a total of 4 people, 4 working bodies. and a battalion chief, and then you're requesting more. However, that response is there, but you don't have the personnel to do the fighting, the structural firefighting, the personnel to do
And when
the
you say
job.
one, it's not really just one person because you're 24 hours a day, so it's really 3 additional bodies to do the place of one person 24 hours a day.
Absolutely.
And then you also, he just spoke about our equipment. If you look at the aging on that stuff, we're racing to the deadline on all of our equipment. It's getting pretty long in the tooth, so we're going to be looking at capital expenses that are pretty unprecedented in our fire department if we don't start addressing those things pretty soon too.
Absolutely. One other slide, because staffing is the most expensive thing you can pay for. For every one position, it takes 2.25 people because it's 24/7 around the clock. Where other departments, generally it takes 3 people, where CAL FIRE, our contract, how it works out, it takes 2.25 people for every one position. So if we went to go 3 people, that's a lot of staffing. But moving to the next one, the measure age. Fortunately, this year, the fiscal year 18-19, big improvement measure age. A lot more money there for fire. It's been, every year, we have the annual lease payment program for that ladder truck. That ladder truck is about $87,900. As everybody knows, it's a 10-year lease payment, and then the city of Atwater will own that ladder truck outright. So it's halfway paid off. We've had it for 5 years. Generally, that's been in there every single year coming out of the Measure H funds. This year, 18-19, we have $250,000 for the salary and benefits. They got moved over there, which is really good. Supports that contract with CAL FIRE, as well as $200,000 for the potential special department expense to replace the aging equipment, like you mentioned. So that will be potentially a fire engine to house at Station 41 that runs so many calls.
And that new equipment you're talking about, the replacement of the other one, there's a lot of complaint with members of the community about driving the ladder truck all over the place. And with the upgrade and the purchase of a smaller unit they can do the same firefighting capabilities with, that would expand the life on that ladder truck and limit those complaints, because everybody complains, why are they running the ladder truck? It's a new piece of equipment, that's what we got to use. So as we update, they're going to make better choices and better use of the equipment we have, and the less costly equipment will be ran on everything every day. The more expensive will be parked and maintained. They'll still have to train on it and use it, but we're listening to what everybody's saying.
Exactly right. The cross-staffing of Station 42, moving an engine over there, getting some of the high miles, the medical call mileage off of that ladder truck to where that ladder truck can respond to all vehicle accidents and structure fires. Maybe not so much the medical aids, get that one of the reserve engines to respond on those calls. It makes perfect sense. But moving on, is there any other questions for me before close?
I have one. Your reserves, can they be reserves at other cities, or are they only CAL FIRE reserves?
They can work at any other local government department or any other fire department. What generally happens is that when we train them, get them to where they know how to do the ins and outs of firefighting, the training, the experience, the education, all these state fire marshal classes, as well as California specialized training and stuff, they get picked up at a local government. But while they're a reserve at Atwater City, yes, if they have time, they can go work at any other fire department or even police department or anywhere they want. It's just they have to do a minimum of 36 hours a month in the city of Atwater at one of the fire stations.
Okay.
So, Councilmember Kale, just for clarification, the reserves are actually an Atwater employee, not a CAL FIRE employee.
I got you.
Yes, my apologies, it might have been here, but those reserve firefighters are Atwater City.
And that's 9 total,
employees.
not 18.
Correct. They can work at either fire station, that might be a little confusing, but there was only 19 in 2018. Now currently, in 2019, we only have 6. We lost our numbers because they got hired in local governments and other fire departments. Or one of them actually went to the military, but...
And we're still actively recruiting for those.
As always, yes, absolutely. If you know of anybody...
And do you want to talk about how they get compensated? They only get...
Yes, and that, unfortunately, The main thing they get from this program is the experience, the training, and the education. It isn't the money, because they only get compensated when they do those shifts, those 12-hour shifts or 24-hour shift at the station, when they go on like a working structure fire or actual call. They're not getting paid around the clock. So what's budgeted for that reserve program is a very, very small amount of money, because it doesn't cost that much. They only get paid when they go on these calls. And if you look at the numbers, 4,000 calls, we only have them about 9% of that time. So 1 out of 10 calls, you don't even have a reserve. So it's not a very expensive program, but it is very beneficial to the city.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, public comment, notice to the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and are placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Thank you. Again, Ralph Anthony, 335 Karen Way. Had a two-part question, was about our water that was contaminated. On the testing, I was told that was a 3-year program. You guys were going to fix the contamination of the water. So my first part of the question was, the contaminated source tested before it went through our filtration system and it was caught, or was it after it was filtered we had contaminated water? Just want a clarification there, Mr. Paul.
Give me your other part. We're going to go back and forth. Say what you got to say, then I'll address your question when you sit down.
The water contamination issue, when you guys did sampling under...
Right, I got that.
Okay. So...
That was your two-part question?
Yes, and the
Okay.
second part is, how far along are we on the second part? I think it was a 3-year cycle to either get to the conclusion, either we need more filtration system, or we're finding the root cause.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a Super Sun site or how we got to that issue and our water being contaminated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Joey Xavier, 344 Karen Way, Atwater, California. I have a city light that's across the street from me on Karen Way, and it's flickering on and off. It stays on for about half an hour, 20 minutes to half hour, and then it shuts off and it doesn't come on for another 2 to 3 hours. Are you guys responsible for those lights, or is that PG&E? Because I believe you guys are responsible for those lights.
Okay. Is that all you had?
Yes.
Okay. I'll address it. You sit down, I can address that. Thank you. Any other members of the public come forward?
I have 2 questions. Lori, is there any way that you can get a bill for the Johnson's Water, exactly everything that they owe?
Okay. Bring questions to
I am.
the chair, please.
Okay, Paul.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And do we have, Paul, any officers on paid administrative leave anymore?
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other members?
Hello, Mayor and council members. I live across the street from proposed gas station at Winton Way and Elm. I've been here before. Shortly after the last meeting, I was contacted by 3 residents of Atwater. You would all know they have previously, if not worked here, they know everybody that works here. They wanted to give me some information, tell me they were supportive of my fight. They brought me some information pertaining to the liquor license. I'm sure you guys know all this. The one that applies to me says ABC will not license a new retail location within 100 feet of a residence unless the applicant can establish that the operation of the proposed premises will not interfere with the quiet enjoyment of the property by residents. It's a list of questions here. It also pertains to distance. There's an alley. That's the distance to the closest residence. So you guys figure it out. What's the distance from an alley from, you guys know, city is full of alleys. Also, the residents wanted me to let you guys know that renters do vote, even though they're not property owners, they vote too. And it's not my job to tell you who did not get the notices. Your planning commission, they're supposed to send out all those, and many did not get it. I'd also like to ask the council members, how many unfinished sidewalks, dead or dying trees, and shootings are happening in your neighborhood? I know my neighborhood, you guys should take a walking field trip, and you would get your answers right there. The gas station will bring nothing but a ghetto to our neighborhood. We're not looking forward to that. And we know signs work, thanks to the Johnsons, and if you guys go ahead with this, we will be putting signs in our neighborhood stating that you are bringing cancer and other negative things to our neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time?
Hi, Joy Johnson, Atwater. And I was just wanting to get it in writing. What exactly will it take to get our water on? I would like something in writing from you guys, what it would take to get our water on, and then we could dispute the bill after our water's on.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Welcome.
Pedro Lara, Sierra Vista Street. First of all, I actually want to commend a teacher that nurtures such fantastic students that are so proficient, and it just makes me proud to be born and raised here, that there's continues to be students that come out of Atwater that are fantastic. Anyway, my reason that I'm here is lack of due process in regards to the possible gas station on the corner of Winton Way and Elm. Lack of due process in notifying all the homeowners in that neighborhood, and notifying homeowners in the appropriate language for that particular homeowner demographic. Less than 2 years ago, on May 23rd, 2017, there was a deadly explosion on the Applegate exit near the Arco gas station where life was lost. On 2012-2018, the California Highway Patrol reported another accident near that same gas station involving a Freightliner. This is proof that a devastating accident at a gas station is a concrete reality. If the gas station moves forward in my residential area, the city's lack of due process exposes residents like myself to an avoidable loss of home and life. In addition, there is a limited access for the Atwater residents to participate in these types of city meetings because there is a lack of any sort of interpretation service, similar to what was provided at the recent Merced County town halls. Another note is on the corner of Drake Lee Avenue and Sierra Vista Street, there has been numerous vehicle collisions with injuries. One thing I'd ask is for the city to actually make that a four-way stop so that we can prevent any sort of future collisions in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, City Council. I agree with it, Wendy and this guy here that just spoke about the gas station's way too close to residents right there, and we don't need no a liquor store right there. We already have several liquor stores. I mean, how many more do you need? And you was talking about where the accidents are at, Sierra Vista and Drakely. You guys still haven't put a sign up, a stop sign or a yield sign in either direction? Come on, what's going on with that? I was in an accident right there, totaled my Honda out. I just bought the Honda, and a van came through there when I was going through there. It's simple, put a stop sign. I'll go put one up. If you guys let me, I'll put it up. People right there on the corner, they got little babies right there. The little Hispanic family, real nice people. And I'll be damned if I'm not going to say something about it. That was very dangerous. One of the kids could have got hit. They play out there all the time. Can't you guys just put a stop sign? I mean, it's simple, or a yield sign. It would have prevented an accident right there. I was in the accident, and, you know, you guys denied the claim, but from what the officers were telling me, there's been quite a few accidents right there. I mean, it's a simple fix, if you ask me.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
All right. Well, I guess it's the springboard because my church is at the corner of Sierra Vista and Drakely. So This is the last time I'm going to get up here and announce this. I told you I was going to try to announce it every time I could. This Sunday at 10 a.m., we're going to be having our law enforcement appreciation service. It actually starts at 10:30. From 10 to 10:30, we're going to do a meet and greet. And as you've heard from our neighbors, and I want to make sure I invite all of our neighbors out, that area is not affluent. And we had a drive-by shooting earlier this year. In fact, Officer Vieira came out and inspected, and we met Officer Vieira back when we were in the community center. And so when that drive-by shooting happened, we praised the Lord. We were having Wednesday night Bible study. No one got injured. The only thing that got hit was a 22-year-old Goodman air conditioning unit on top of the building, which the insurance replaced. So we praise the Lord for that. But with all that said, it's important that we honor our law enforcement personnel. And so we are going to have that service 10:30. Mark Twain said it is better to deserve honors and not have them than to have them and not deserve them. And I believe a lot of our law enforcement personnel, they deserve honor, but they don't get it. And so we want to invite all the city council, we want to invite the public to come out. And real quickly, September 8th, we want to invite the battalion chief and some of his men to come out, as we will be honoring our firefighters on September 8th of this year, just prior to Patriot Day. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to come forward?
Salam to the public and to the council members. I just wanted to know, has the council and the committee made a department to treat with the indigenous Americans? I sent an email to all the council members. I don't know if you guys received them, as well as the city manager, about a month ago, because I wanted to give you guys ample time to go ahead and talk it about amongst yourselves or whatnot, because it is also required by law, and I would love to talk to you furthermore, because 3 minutes is not even close to enough time to deal with a lot of the issues. And main reason, because being indigenous, we have the rights to the lands and the resources, this, that, and the third, which I wanted to bring up. I wanted to stand up like a lot of the times when the people were presenting their legislation and things of that nature. But the thing is, the consulate, we have treaties pursuant to the Constitution and things of that nature, which bring into the laws of the indigenous people. And if you guys received those emails, what I sent you, or what I sent attachments also, which have to do with having a consulate to consult directly with the indigenous Americans, being specifically, not to put anybody in a superior or inferior position, but the Moorish Americans, due to us being the aboriginal and true indigenes of the land. And so if after the meeting or so, or just some other time, we'd like to schedule a meeting to actually go over that, because it is of utter importance, and it actually deals with federal jurisdiction that's according to the United States in response or correlation with Moorish Americans, because we have a political jurisdiction of the highest honor. Like I said, not against anybody in an inferior or superior position, but and that's also been codified, reserved, and copywritten in the Department of Justice under Truth and A1, as well as in the Library of Congress under AA 222141, which is the United States Code of Law, just for preservation and to be codified. So, and it has to do with a lot of things that they mentioned, as far as, you know, anything that happens on the lands, whether it be the trees, the resources, the new implementation of the new energy source which they promoted to you, or brought forth to you all, as well as the new gas stations, as well as all that stuff. We need to establish some kind of communication, so we know also, because being indigenous, we're the protectors, the sole possessors of the land, or through ancestral descent. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take a seat, and salam.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. City council matters. Well, before we go into that, we're going to take a quick moment here to address a few things that were brought up tonight. Instead of going unanswered, we're not going to do a back and forth with members of the public, but we will, where we can tonight, address what we can, and what we can't, we'll have staff get back to those members of the public that spoke tonight. I'll start off with the water issue, and then Attorney White's going to help me on this to answer this gentleman's question. The filtration system, there is no filtration system on the majority of the wells. The testing that came up that identified the the contaminant, the 123 TCP. That's been in our water since the 50s, they estimate. We've been testing last 15, 18 years, parts per million, then it went to parts per billion. The state set a threshold for 123 TCP at parts per trillion now, which it took UCLA to develop a new testing procedure to test that low. So one molecule per 1 trillion molecules they can detect now. So, and then the state of California set a threshold which was extremely low, which put us in violation. They put an action level. It's not a contaminant yet, but it's an action level for a potential carcinogen for young people and infants and the elderly potential. So we do have carbon filtration on a couple of well sites, but that's from previous lawsuit with a DBPC. So we, the city, have filled those chambers with granulated activated carbon. We're treating those. So in our whole well field, we're trying to minimize what we have with what money we have. So we already had the opportunity to have these filtration systems there. So we put what they call GAC in them to bring the contamination down citywide because we're in a loop system. So that's what we're doing, and the state set the action level, and we're doing it what they call capital improvement program, which is every year we spend money that you guys pay in as your water rates, utility rates, to make capital improvements. So we'll add additional well sites as we can afford it without impacting your rates. And we still monitor, I believe it's monthly on the 123 TCP because it's pretty costly to do the parts per trillion. You got to send it off to a special laboratory. So that should answer both your questions on that. Well, yeah, not to go back and forth, but the life cycle is we sample constantly, and there's a lead GAC unit, so carbon unit. So when this unit's contaminated, before it gets there, you start seeing traces, and it goes into a two-part series. So it goes from this one into this one into this one. So, okay. So what we do is we remove those, the first GAC unit before it gets out the second one. We always check the back. So that's what we're doing. So that answers both those. You're welcome. On the gas station, and also back on the water deal, we are in litigation. I can't go into what we're doing. Can you explain the litigation aspect that we're not laying on our feet here? We're actively fighting on behalf of the city that you need to know that what we're doing. So,
Yeah, I mean, we have litigation outstanding that's ongoing. The city's procured specific counsel with expertise in this type of area, and we look forward to having a successful result that would allow us hopefully to have additional treatment at the well site.
okay, so that's that one question. The street light, yes. Who had the street light? Okay, Joey. Street light number, yes, we are responsible for that. We have PG&E, MID are the two power carriers for both of those lights. I don't know which light pole you have, whether it's a city or what, it doesn't matter. You tell us, we'll get it repaired. The street light number, do you know that? If you don't, just your address is fine. Okay. So, all right, we're going to have somebody from Public Works go out there and address that. It's the light sensor, we need to replace it. Okay. But in the future, call into City Hall, make sure you make contact with a human. Street light number, when you guys have street lights that flicker in your neighborhood, we need a pole number, and then our guys can go out specifically to those pole numbers, and it'll get turned around a lot quicker. And then city manager will follow up on that. We do want to make sure it doesn't go from January, you said? That's ridiculous, so we'll work on that. All street lights, but we contract with PG&E and MID. Those lights, they may do, some we may do, depends on how we have the power agreement, so we'll take care of that. We'll work on that. What? Oh, the water bill. What will it take to get your water turned back on? We'll have City Attorney White work on that, answering your question. and we'll make that public so you know exactly what it takes to get it turned back on. Clear as day.
You said you'll make it public?
With you, no, we'll do, no, we won't make it public. We're going to go directly with you guys.
Well, just to be clear,
Yeah.
any correspondence to you is subject to Public Record Act request as soon as we communicate it to you. It is.
Okay, Ms. Johnson, we can't go back and forth, so thank you. Okay. The gas station, so on, right, I know, we jump in. So on the gas station issue, just so you guys know, and I hear you, I totally feel your pain. It's a free market. They have the right to buy that property. We don't have control of the alcohol permitting. It's a current license that's in the shopping center over by the school district office, the headquarters there. They're moving that. I'm just giving you guys what, so you're asking us to do things that we can't do, and I want to share why we can't. We don't issue the alcohol license. We don't set the parameters. You know, as long as they meet all the state guidelines, people are allowed to, when they buy a piece of property, they have property rights, and they get to do certain things with those. They want to do a gas station there with a convenience store. Maybe at the end of the day, they are permitted. Maybe the ABC will let them, not let them. We don't care. Well, we do care, but we can't issue the license or take the license away.
Don't you guys
But
vote?
yes, we do. Let me finish.
So if you say no.
So the gas station, they have property rights with that, as long as they meet the conditions and they abide by everything they're supposed to do, things are permitted in this world. They're not always perfect. We can't go back and forth. I'm trying to help you guys get your questions answered. We did notify, we've gone over this a couple of times about notification to the property owners. And staffs, we've had meetings with staff and we've been told, and we've seen the map, the circle, they go to the property owners, not the renters. So the landowners of those properties were all notified. It's not that, it's, so anyway, and then also with the causing cancer statement, the state of California monitors and permits whether you get a gas station and gas tanks. So we don't enforce that or permit that, the state of California does. Their walls, we had a new 7-Eleven put in. The permitting for that to put a new gas station in is ridiculous, the regulations that you have to go through. So there's nobody causing cancer if they put a gas station in, there's procedures. It's going to be the most modern one in town next to the 7-Eleven. So you can write your future questions out and we can address them in more detail and respond back to you as long as you go through the planning department with the permitting. I think that would help you guys a lot more. That way you guys, instead of coming to the public comment every time, we can get more details for you guys and then maybe get you the right resources that you need to speak to for your concerns on ABC and also the gas tanks. Do you think there's anything else needed for that?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make clear, I mean, there's underlining zoning on the property, so when somebody buys it, they buy it with the right to do certain things.
How does it overrule?
No, we're not going to go back and forth.
I'm going to give you an answer, but I'm not going to get into a debate with you. So when you have the right to, when you buy something and you have the right to build something, if you meet certain requirements, which they met, then it doesn't leave us a lot of leeway in terms of discretion to deny somebody the ability to locate something on the property. That zoning had been in place and allowed for some period of time, and that's the underlying challenge of what you're facing, because our discretion in it was limited by decisions that were made, if I'm going correctly off my memory, around 8 to 10 years ago. And that kind of bound our hands in terms of the options that were available. So I think what we're trying to say is that there's a sensitivity to your situation. The challenge is when somebody buys something, it's still America, and you get certain rights to do things, and unfortunately sometimes those outcomes aren't always ideal. So with that.
So that's where we're at on that. Not to mislead you, not to ignore you or anything else. That's why we're commenting on this, so that you're not being ignored, you're being heard. And like I said, to further the discussion, I recommend you guys communicate through the planning department on that, because they're handling that process. So, and then also on the drive-by shooting somebody brought up earlier. What's the matter, Jeannie? Oh, I'm sorry. What was Jeannie's?
I need to look in what I have to do to redact it, so yes. I will get you a copy of whatever you're allowed to have without, correct.
I'm sorry, I thought we addressed it. Okay, so, we comment there, but that's personnel issues.
You can say if there is any.
I don't know if there is or isn't, so.
In the police department, yes. Police personnel or police officers, no.
Okay, the drive-by shooting that was talked about earlier, whether it's in one neighborhood or a less affluent neighborhood, I don't think we have it in any one particular area of this community. It's in all four corners. I had one a year and a half ago by my house. They've been in the worst part of town to the nicest part of town. Unfortunately, it happens. I want zero drive-by shootings. I want zero crime in this town. So with that being said, there's no area that's going to be neglected. If anything, the more a community area is struggling, the more attention I feel that we need to put our resources and our police officers in, because if they don't have the resources or the ability to speak up, whether it's language or it's economic, social background, it is our job up here to make sure that we take care of every member of this community and they all have a voice. So our police chief's well aware of that, and we're actively changing what we've been doing in this community as far as law enforcement. And as we get a little bit more money, and maybe this cannabis thing that we're doing happens to be a little bit of a windfall, you're going to see a lot better law enforcement techniques and devices, and it's going to be a win. So that pretty much addresses all the public comment. So we're going to go into City Council Managers' discussion and possible action regarding the hours operation for the Bloss House grounds and gardens. Do we have the Bloss House members here tonight? Mr. Olzak? And then to not leave you out, we'll have to get your contact information because that's way over my pay grade, everything you talked about. Mr. Olzak.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I'm Greg Olzak, President of the Atwater Historical Society. I'm here to address the issue concerning public access and availability of the Bloss Home grounds since the new fence has been erected. First of all, I want to thank the city for letting us meet with the council members and the city manager this last Friday morning about this matter. I can say that we did have a very productive meeting, and we do appreciate it. I can also say that in reviewing the matter, the society realizes that we need to and will be posting signs on all three gates, which would be the front, the side, and then the one that is on First and Broadway. And we are going to be giving this information for those three signs. And this is a rendition of preliminary sign that we have made up that will be put in tomorrow, and for the record, I'll read it. It says, for information regarding the rental of these grounds for events and photography, please call 658-4766. I would be happy to answer any and all questions concerning this.
Okay, we'll bring it to the council first. Any member of the council want to speak on this? Ms. Vieira?
Yes. Are you going to post, are there going to be normal hours that it's just open, or is it only by?
Well, because, you know, we're a volunteer society, we don't have anybody working there on an ongoing basis. So the way that it's been working, really even, well, since we put the fence up, which was last September, we have our information on the our website, the city website, and all the rest. And so if anybody, we don't, in a short answer, we don't have somebody that's available at any given time ongoing. So what the information will be is if, a lot like the Women's Club, if anybody wanted to rent that, for instance, that number, because we're all local, if somebody wanted to, say, driving up is interested in having, say, picture taking as an example, then if someone is available, we could come down and take care of that. A lot of times we will have people on site. If someone's there, then we invite them in. That's happened several times. for other items such as weddings and special events, dinners, things like that, fundraisers, which causes planning, needs planning, then we have time to work with them. Just like the proms. Here this past 2 weekends, we've had the 2 local high schools and Buhack Colony and Livingston High. We invited them all to come, and they took pictures, and we'll be doing that most probably with graduations for all. So, with a little bit of time and arrangements, we can, I think, help just about everybody do anything they want within reason.
Any other members of the council?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say that your event that you had was very well received. It was a great event. I see Mr. Vineyard here. You guys did an awesome job making that place look beautiful. It looked very beautiful. And I have to tell you that without that fence, I'd be very concerned as to what that place would look like with the homeless coming in there and doing the things that they've done. It's a positive thing, but we are losing some time where people could come on their own. And I hope we get to hear some positive progress. Oh yeah, they're working on us with these signs.
Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Any other members of the council? I do. I have a few comments. Your sign said for rental, so if I was a student taking photography at Buhack or Atwater High and I just wanted to go take pictures of the beautiful mansion, I would have to rent the grounds to get on the other side of the fence?
Well, that is the official thing, but if someone said that I'm in a photography class at Buhack Colony High or Merced College or UC Merced, and they're doing a project or they just wanted to try things out, we wouldn't charge them anything.
So how do we, and I love what you guys are doing. You're doing a great job. It was a great meeting. I was there. How do we get access to the general public? Maybe we can partner the city. I know you guys are a nonprofit volunteer, and I think you're down to a handful of you guys.
No, we're actually increasing in our ranks.
Well, so you have a lot of people that could come out and help out then?
Well, let's put it this way. We have a small but diligent and growing group of people that are very enthusiastic because of, the good positive things that have been happening.
Okay. So how could we maybe change that instead of just rental or for access, phone this number, or for rental or access? So the average person, if you didn't know, you came up to the grounds, you were actually permitted in because it's a city facility that we can't charge for everybody to go through the gate. So how do we not discriminate against somebody to get access to that?
Yeah, just a question of planning. As I said, the gates, it's a secure place. The reason that the fence was put up initially was because of the transient problem that was causing vandalism, break-ins, things like that, cost to the city, and of course then we had to clean everything up too. Again, since September when the fence has been up, we've had 0 problems. And so really, because these signs are going to be up and posted, anybody that comes looking can read that, give us a call, because there's a number of us that are always in town. If it's something that's immediate, let's say a family is having a family reunion, I'm just thinking something here, a possibility. A family comes in and they're having a get-together, they want to have a group picture, say, and they have to have it right away. If they call that number, that person or one of us can probably come down and open it up and get the pictures taken. And we wouldn't charge them or anything like that. But professional photographers that were utilizing the grounds quite a bit and getting paid for their services, the city at that time or anybody was not getting anything for that service that they were making money on. But since then, now that we've had photographers that have called and made arrangements, and it's worked out quite well. So again, with planning, we could do things very quickly if we need to, and we can set up another time, in the future for whatever their plans are. We're trying to be real proactive, obviously.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we don't discriminate any group of people from getting access there, since it is the people's house, it's not our house.
Right, no.
Ms. Vieira?
We will do everything within reason to be able to satisfy everyone.
No, you guys are doing a wonderful job out there, and it's light years better. It's a wonderful place. All you guys that are here today, thank you very much. I'm a life member also, so I support what's going on. Councilmember Vieira?
I know we had our meeting, and I thought it went really positive as well. I think both sides got questions answered. And I know that in the meeting you had stated, or I know you were kind of planning, well, someone might be on call this weekend or that weekend. So I think with that, it does make a lot more available. You know you're on call this weekend, so you're actively listening for the phone or whatever. So I think that's a really good idea, and thank you for acknowledging and quickly putting together something. Having something, I think, on the gates is a step in the right direction for the community to at least know, maybe someone wouldn't think to find the website, but just going down there at least.
Right.
So I'm very happy with that, and thank you very much for, reaching out and returning answers to our concerns and meeting with us. And like I said, I thought the meeting went really positive, and it's good to work together with the community and
thank you. And I will say from our standpoint, because, again, it's a city-owned property that is managed by a nonprofit organization, meaning the society, and it's been this way for a number of years. So it's just a matter of working through little glitches in, say, communication and working those things out. And we're real pleased to be able to work in concert with the city, because really we all have one goal, and that's to make this one, I'd say, the best situation in our community even better for the citizens, and we're dedicated to that.
Well, I think to piggyback on that, then I'm going to let Ms. Waterman speak. You don't have a more dedicated council. The last council, this council, we're 100% in with you. Preserve that landmark, make it accessible. And then also, I think that as we start getting more funds, we're going to be more active with the park across the street, trying to do more venues down there. There's a new Downtown Historical Association that's being formed. There's a lot of positive things that could maybe bring things to the society that you guys could charge revenue for and build the reason the fence is there and the society's there is to generate funds to maintain the house. It's not, nobody's getting a salary over there. These guys are working, trying to raise money, do events. It's a lot of work you guys do. And then just keep beautifying it. And it takes a lot of money to maintain that house. That's a big house.
Yeah,
So-
we have 3 active renovations, Mr. Bloss's room, the maid's room, and the young son's room that all need some improvements.
Right, and then the ongoing maintenance is tremendous. We talked about a tree that's $2,000 or $3,000 just to follow this tree that's dead. But we're looking at, as things come forward, fixing up that area, fixing up the park across the street, and just enhancing the whole area. So my hat's off to all you guys. Thank you very much for what you've done. Lori, go ahead.
I wanted to also echo the appreciation for the Historical Society meeting with us last Friday to discuss some of the issues or concerns regarding accessibility. I know that you said that you may not have people available. Is it something that we might be able to do something similar to Veterans Park where we unlock it and lock it in the evenings? Because I know initially Councilwoman Vieira's concern was the accessibility when we were discussing the gate and the fencing around it. It's not necessary to block the public's access, and I'm a little concerned with the sign that you have says, if you can read that again, I don't want it to deter somebody that may want to. I know you said you would be willing to waive, but I think if they see that, they may think that they're going to automatically be charged. I don't want to have that.
Keep in mind, this is something we put together real quick because we haven't had our meeting is next Monday, and then we'll go over the right wording, but I'll take that into fact. No, we don't want to give the impression that everything is a rental. We'll change some words, say for accessibility and things like that. But if somebody, like we had a wedding that had 300 people a week before last, and then you something big like that, as opposed to I had had, when I was there working, a young couple with a little baby in a wagon that they just want to take some shots. So, said, sure enough, so we're not going to enter in an agreement with them, but yet there's a whole sliding scale of we have to consider. But no, we won't give the impression that there's always money involved in the so-called transaction. So, and if I could, maybe I misspoke or whatever, but just this point, no, we do have people available. And the phone number that we have, whether it's this particular one or a cell phone that will be passed to the person that is in charge, that person will be quote-unquote on duty or on standby. And if someone does need something quickly and we can accommodate, that person will be in town and should be able to get someone else, that person or someone else down there to do whatever we can to facilitate their needs and everything. Again, we want people to utilize it in the proper manner, whether it's just a young family or an organization's fundraiser. So we don't want to say no to anybody, and we don't want to make a profit of anybody that, maybe couldn't afford it or wasn't expecting it. So again, that's just that's our plan, and our goal is to be as proactive and serving the community as possible, as well as possible.
No, thank you very much. Thank all you guys that are part of the Historical Society. I see great things, more events coming, and make sure that you guys are sharing your information with us so we can post it on Facebook, our website, do our part to do the positive progress that we're doing here. You guys are doing a wonderful job, and keep it up, and thank you very much.
And also, you mentioned the tree. As a matter of fact, I would not mind if we kind of maybe on a periodic or as-needed basis getting together and talk about things, the maintenance things, like, the tree or the whatever.
With you, we're working on our budget, so we're just going into a budget cycle. So we're going to need to know some numbers on, or some projects that you want to do that we can program in, because we only have a little bit of money, but we need to get in the budget. After the budget's adopted, we're not changing anything.
Okay,
so.
And we can get together and tell you the plans that we have that for money that we accrue that we will spend on the property also.
And we also I forgot to mention that a One Voice deal. I was on an Arts Council, the Federal Arts Commission thing, which there's actually some money that we're going to be applying through for the Castle Air Museum and the Bloss Historical Building, that we might be able to qualify there on a federal program. So we're going to be reaching out to you guys to do that application and try to do something.
Okay,
Maybe
we'd be happy to work hand in glove with you. And I do want to mention your Public Works crew that have been very helpful in helping with, for instance, the lights and other little problems that we've had troubleshooting, and the guys have been great, and we really appreciate their efforts.
Yeah, we've made that priority number one to get the place lit up, and if you guys drive by at night now at the Bloss House, it's like it used to be. It's very well lit, every light works. So Lori was on the Public Works guys, the council was like, let's get that place lit up. We got the street light fixed. It looks beautiful at night when you drive by there, so thank you guys for what you do.
So,
also, don't leave yet, I'm gonna open it up to the public, so if you just hang on 1 second. Any members of the public like to come forward at this time with any questions on this item? Come on up, Mike.
Come here. Mike Maroney, 2339 Angeles Court. Just to set the council's mind at ease with the wording, and I don't want to put words in Greg's mouth, because I know he's very eloquent. I think what you're looking for is something along the lines for public access tours or rental for your special events called such and such a number.
I think if you work with Mr. Olzak, you guys can come up with something great.
Oh, thanks a lot. Okay.
Well, let's put it this way. My backyard across the fence neighbor is a real wordsmith, so.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. But I think that's what you guys are looking for, right?
I think so.
Right.
I think Greg will work it out.
He'll figure it out.
Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time? Seeing none. Public comment closed. Thank you, Mr. Olzak and the Bloss Historical Society. At this time, we're going to adjourn to close, we'll do council comments. Vieira. Council comments. Raymond.
Just hope everybody had a good, all the mothers had a good Mother's Day. I want to commend your officers, Chief. We've had a big speeding problem, traffic problem down Schaefer, especially when school's getting out. And as I was heading northbound Schaefer, I passed one cop car heading south, looked to my right, they're at each opening come down right across from Thomas Alita. And I've never seen traffic go so slow. So you guys' presence is having a huge impact.
Ambries?
I just want to say happy belated Mother's Day for all your mothers out here in the audience at home. Also, I know I'm a few days late on this for Teacher Appreciation Week. I hope all of you guys who have children in the district definitely thank the teachers. You know, they do help mind our children's future and minds, and that's all I have.
Yeah.
Well, I was very impressed with the information you gave us on the One Voice. I believe there's positive progress here in Atwater, but I'm really surprised it's coming out of Washington too. So that's good. I enjoyed very much the young people coming in and talking about the debate team, but there was one individual that I was very impressed with, and I couldn't tell you who it was, but he was sitting somewhere around there, or standing, when we were doing the Pledge of Allegiance. She was the loudest one in the whole room, and I thought that was awesome, that he was there, knew all the words, and it was great. So, and then happy Mother's Day to everybody.
I just want to tell you, thank you for allowing me to go to One Voice. It wasn't a waste of money. It was money well spent. And that's all I have. Well, I do want to say, I'm going to put our chief on the spot again with what Councilman Raymond said about the enforcement. Over in my neighborhood, walked out the front door to go to work, and my son said, I think there's a car wreck in front of our house. We have a stop sign there on Fruitland and Chardonnay, and actually they had pulled over because they use it as a cut through for the county in Winton. They had 3 cars, no current registration, no insurance, people with no driver's license, so some were being loaded up on flatbeds and other people were getting rides from their parents or whatever else. So there's no safe place in this town if you don't obey the law. This is a law and order city, so we're going to get every corner of this town and make sure you obey the law. So great job on your deputies. And I was out at Secretary and Determined the other day, and there's some pretty good patrol saturation over there. And thank you guys. So at this time, we're going to adjourn to Conference Room A for closed session continuation, and we'll report out whenever we get done with that.